Hey, welcome in everyone. This is Dan French. This is Wealthytainment, and we have a great one to talk about today with current events. A lot of good information going out on TikTok, and is this bill going to get passed, which it looks like it will? And is TikTok going to be forced out of the United States? And I want to talk about what the impact is and who's really going to benefit from this, and what I think is going to happen with TikTok moving forward. Chris and I will give you our opinion on this.
Like us.
TikTok creators descending on the Capitol this week.
Save TikTok!
You need to make your voices heard.
Call them and tell them to stop the ban.
Hoping to save the social media giant. TikTok appealing directly to its users.
And we had millions of kids calling Congress, in some cases threatening suicide.
Even flying creators out to Washington.
They're trying to rush a vote to block TikTok.
What would it mean for you and your family if TikTok were to be banned in the U.S.?
It would be devastating. Being able to just launch out a positive message would be completely stopped.
But in the end, the bill passed in a landslide.
The yeas are 352, the nays are 65.
And now heads to the Senate. If signed into law, it would force TikTok's Chinese owner, ByteDance, to sell the platform within 6 months or face a possible ban in the U.S., its biggest market. TikTok says around 170 million Americans use its platform, including 7 million small business owners. Many of them now worried about their livelihoods.
It is 100% of our income. It's how I feed my wife and 3 children.
But lawmakers say the move is a matter of national security.
This app has the potential of being a mass surveillance tool against American people.
Critics pointing to laws in China that allow the communist government to demand data from any Chinese-owned company. Several countries, including the U.S., have already banned the app on government devices.
We worried about the spy balloon hanging over the U.S. A lot of people put this out. It's 170 million spy balloons.
Another fear, the power and reach of a hugely popular foreign-based platform that's readily accessible to millions of Americans, many of them teenagers.
The reason that is valuable to the Chinese Communist Party is it begins to allow them to know how to influence Americans.
But TikTok CEO Shou Chew insists the app is not a tool of the Chinese government.
There's a lot of noise, but I haven't heard, exactly what we have done that's wrong.
Meanwhile, any possible sale of the app could prove costly and complicated.
One of the issues is, what do you get when you buy it? Because they're not going to give us the algorithm, because if they give us the algorithm, we can see, in fact, if they've been spying.
Former Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin already looking to assemble a group of investors.
This should be owned by U.S. businesses. There's no way that the Chinese would ever let a U.S. company own something like this.
The current bill does not allow the government to remove TikTok from people's phones. Instead, it would be unavailable to download or update. But in countries like India, where TikTok is already banned, savvy users were quick to find workarounds. It all comes in a consequential election year, with both parties desperate to woo young voters.
Do you think this could impact how people vote?
100%. There will be people that will not be reelected because of the way they choose to vote on this ban.
Faced with uncertainty, some TikTok users already preparing for the end.
And who knows if today is the day and this is the last video.
As the app, known for its global reach and viral moves, now stands increasingly on rocky footing.
And Savannah joins me now live. Savannah, good morning. Great to see you. So the bill did pass, as you said, overwhelmingly in the House. Things a little bit less certain in the Senate, but President Biden says he will sign it if it reaches his desk. So bottom line, is there really a chance TikTok will be banned in America?
So I want to bring in Chris, my good friend Chris. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Hey, what's going on, brother? It's always a pleasure. And I look forward to talking about this topic simply because I think what happens with situations like this that become, I guess, unprecedented in terms of how much control is over an entity, it can reshape the whole landscape of what's to come next. So,
yeah, I want to bring this up, man. So, are you a TikToker or do you do a lot of social media? What's your favorite social media platform?
I mean, I do have a social media account for TikTok. Am I active on it? No, I'm not active on it. My favorite is, I would have to say, I lean more towards YouTube. Probably about 96% of my time on social media would be through YouTube. And then maybe TikTok second, and then Instagram, and then the rest kind of fall kind of to the wayside. So to answer your question, yeah, I spend majority of my time with YouTube.
YouTube. Well, a lot of the stuff that I talk about, I really outsource it to a lot of the different platforms, really every platform that's available, because you want to put your brand out there. TikTok is different, though. I think with TikTok, the reason why I think a lot of people gravitated, I think the younger generation, is because not just only younger. So let's clarify that. I think there's just a lot of people out there that like to, it started off, I think, as a dancing app, and now it's turned into other things. And the government here in the United States, what they've said is the big problem with TikTok is that it's stationed in China, and China is obviously communist. And the United States is saying, the government and some of these politicians is saying that we don't want to have TikTok out there, where the Chinese government, if they wanted to really get that information on all the data here on the US, that they can actually get that from the owner. And so, you know, the owner is now being forced to either sell, or they're going to ban TikTok. Now, my question would be, is that you know, a violation of, you know, the First Amendment of, you know, you wanting to work and obviously be here in the United States? Is that a violation of that? Secondly, when you look at the situation with all the other platforms, they're operating out of China, from the information that I've read. And so, is this something that the U.S. just wants to capitalize on? Because you got to think that if they were going to remove, the big thing would be just to remove TikTok altogether, then why are we trying to buy it? Why is there politicians trying to actually buy it? My opinion is that there's a lot of information. Yes, I think the other thing is that what coincides with that is it's worth billions of dollars. The advertisement, the amount of people that are drawn to it, how big the app has become. And so, don't kid yourself. I think there's a lot of value in it for politicians. I mean, what do you think about why the government's either given this ultimatum, either sell or you're banned from the United States?
Well, first and foremost, there's a loophole in terms of the government. Well, first of all, the United States, its first and main priority is to protect the homeland. And as long as they can make an argument that that's sacrificing that protection of the homeland, well, it is what it is. Whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, that's a way that they can get this platform to submit, or they could just take it off and get it banned. Me personally, if it was mine, I wouldn't sell it. I would keep it and operate in every other country besides the United States. If I'm not mistaken, Facebook's not in China. So a country can do and see fit what they feel is the best for that country and ban any platform that they want. So I don't think there's anything about that. In terms of a money grab, I mean, yeah, it's worth several $billion, but these guys are worth, I mean, money has nothing to do with it. It's more or less, I would say, a power and control play. These guys have endless money. It's not a money game or a money grab. Now, these guys are on a whole nother level and a whole nother stratosphere in terms of what the end goal and end game is.
Well, I'm going to say this, man. I'm going to disagree with you on that. I'm going to say the reason I feel that they're putting this ultimatum is, yeah, it's exposing, but a lot of the data is exposing different people's information. I mean, look, you have just in the US, a lot of credit card companies, information was stolen, credit cards were used. Is this part of the reason? Probably, or maybe. I think the bigger part, though, is that can you capitalize because it's outside the country? You have somebody that created a platform that's gone very viral or big here in the United States, and it's not homegrown, right? It's not made inside of the United States. And then the biggest excuse would be, well, you know, China's going to have access to our information. You don't think that there's out there hackers that can get a lot of this information if they really wanted to, or the government working on this? I mean, you hear this stuff all the time. The Chinese government is trying to hack, or, you know, you look at just other countries, you know, they've tried to come in and tried to hack our information. So I don't know, man. I think that you look at this situation, and I'm not saying that there isn't some merit to the fact that you don't want to have your information out there, but it's already out there. If you're really good at things, ultimately you can hack into anything and get somebody's information for the most part. Look, I'm not a hacker, But I'm just saying, is the government and his politicians, because there's primarily two that are really pushing for this, is TikTok really the casualty of the fact that they created, this person that's in China created a app that's really gone, like I said, it's done really well. And is it a casualty in the fact that since he's done something so well, somebody wants to capitalize here on it, and this is an excuse for them to get that money by forcing him to sell, or basically banning him from the United States? I'll tell you this, Chris, I don't think it's going to be as big if it's banned. I mean, you say that I just keep it and go into another country. What other country is really going to have iPhones, cell phones at accessibility the way that we have it here? And is it going to decline in popularity? I think it will decline a lot. So would the value.
Well, I mean, the world is vast. So there's other countries outside of the United States, Dan. And there's 1 billion people in India and over 1 billion. And then you have China, and then you have other countries that are also flourishing. So United States, I know that they push that narrative that United States is the only country out here getting money. There's other countries where people are getting money. And so me personally, without knowing the data, I don't know what the inner workings of what that supports and what the user base is. But other countries have cell phones. Other countries have web connect. You know what I mean? They push this like other people are out there fucked up, and they're not. They're just not.
Let me say this, though, Chris. Let me say this real quick. Sorry, but look at, okay, so you have a lot of Chinese people, which I love Chinese people. I do. There's nothing wrong with Chinese. I'm just saying they're coming here. They're buying investment properties. They're buying into businesses. They're buying into other things. Why is this any different? Why is it the fact that just because I understand there's data out there, but it's a fine line, because it's like you're saying, well, if you're somebody outside the scope of the country, and if you create something that people obviously want or are a part of that's outside, so every country now is supposed to take this stance that, well, if China has our information, let's go ahead and ban TikTok? Because what if this starts to become a trending position where all these countries start to do a domino effect, and now everybody's starting to ban TikTok because it's either sell or you're out?
Well, but yes, I see what you're saying, but that every country has their sole responsibility to do what's best for the country. Whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, I think the point, it has nothing to do whether it holds merit or not. As long as you can say, hey, listen, this app that you have in our country, we feel it's a threat to our national security. So therefore, if you want to continue operating in our country, these are the things that need to happen. If not, we'll just ban it, and then you can operate in other countries that don't care or are less, or are not as stringent on their national security. And it doesn't. It's like one of those things where you work somewhere and you don't like that you can only be late 3 times because another job will let you be late 10 times. Hey, you get a warning, you get a write-up, and then you're fired. If not, you don't have to work here. It's the same thing. Or get your LLC and your business affairs in order, make it an American company, have an arm, or not an arm, have an offshore company, and then operate here in the United States. I mean, these guys are brilliantly smart. So if you don't want to sell it, okay, then this is what we'll do. We'll just operate in the United States. This will be our United States department, and we'll just keep it like that. But just to, if I look at it like this, if there's a way for them to operate in the United States and keep the company and keep the United States happy, and they don't want to do that, then that would pose a reason to be like, well, why don't you want to do that? You know, your headquarters, we just don't want your headquarters in China. How valuable is the American market share in terms of the value to your company? And if TikTok is like, well, that's okay, we won't sell it, and we'll just be banned in the United States, and it is what it is.
I think here's a good, you had a good point on it. You know, I picked something up with what you said. Again, I'm going to disagree a little bit on what you said, though. And the reason I say that is, if you really wanted to keep a platform, then why do you need to sell it to the United States? Right? That's where obviously that's who they're selling it to. Then just sell it, or actually what you could do is operate it out of the United States. Instead of you saying, hey, in China, well, then you got to come here and abide by the regulations in the United States, which I get it. Most people aren't going to do that. I don't think he would do that, but at least give them that option. You know, why is it either sell to us or ban it? That's basically what I'm getting from this whole thing with TikTok. And how are you forcing an entity like that? Which I get it. It's not.
No, it's not force. It's not force. That's a choice. Force is if you don't do it, I'll kill you. That's force. They're not forcing them to do anything.
Well, they're forcing them to say, hey, well, we're going to ban you. So basically what they're saying is this.
That's not forcing, man. They have a choice. They don't have to do it. That's not force. Force is making somebody do something against their will.
You don't think that the U.S. is doing that here, though?
No, that's not force. That's a choice.
So if you said, hey, we want to keep the platform, you can come to the U.S., or you know what, we can be business partners. Let's even give that option. They're basically saying, look, we're going to give you two options. Either sell to us or sell your billions of dollars, the platform you created, or you're gone. I feel that that's an ultimatum.
Oh, maybe an ultimatum, but it's not force. Force is this. You're going to sell it to us. If you don't, I'll kill you. That's force. Because now your life is being threatened, your livelihood, your health, and you're like, well, that's by force. Someone robbing somebody in the street, a purse snatcher, he snatched her purse by force. The woman had nothing, there's nothing she could do about that. That's force. He forced her out of the way, grabbed her bag, and ran away. That is force. This is a choice. You either, if you want to pay to play, you got to pay to play, or we just ban you. You still have your company. We're not taking your company. You just can't operate no longer here in the United States.
I'm going to say this, man. We're going to end this quick topic here, but I'm going to say, for my conclusion, I think TikTok will be bought out or sold, in my opinion, because he's not going to just let it get banned. I feel like it's at the all-time high. It's worth billions of dollars. Would the U.S. actually be involved in this if it was worth, let's say a few million? Not at all. It's because it's worth so much money. They want a piece of the pie, in my opinion, our government. And again, I'm not saying, hey, let's not look at what China's doing and prevent people from getting our information. I get that. But there's a way to do it. I feel that this is, hey, we want a piece of the pie. Because if you just wanted to say, hey, you know what, then maybe they make alterations to come here into the United States and maybe fix that. So for me, I feel that this is a money grab. I feel that they're pushing this guy out. And again, I don't go on TikTok like that. I know there's a lot of young users that use it. I'm not, I don't sit there and say I'm a fan or anything. I use it for a social media platform to market. But I mean, that's what I think is going to happen. What do you think on the conclusion of this? What do you think is going to happen with them?
I say he keeps it. It's more valuable kept than selling it. That's
okay. Well, we'll wait to see. Yeah, we'll wait to see. You guys, this is Wealthytainment. Thank you guys for watching the channel. Subscribe, like it. From myself and to Chris. Chris, you got anything else to say?
Yes, sir. It's always a pleasure.
All right, guys. Check us out at the next video. We'll see you guys at the next one.